I'm still in a little bit of a state of shock. It's been a very tough few weeks of negotiations. We've competed with two other very, very serious bidders, and unbeknown to us, because I'm a very truthful person, right up to 11 o'clock last night we thought we were getting the club, and both the other two parties thought they were getting the club. All three thought they were the chosen bidder, and all three thought they were the only person in the running as of yesterday. But in reality, there were three people in the bidding yesterday, and all three thought they were going to get it. And this only came out at about 5 to 11 last night when we finally got the club.
Why have you decided to move now? What's your thinking now in becoming in charge of West Ham? You say it's a club that means so much to you.
Both me and David are supporters. It's where we started. I went to university here. I lived in Hornchurch. David literally lived 50 yards from the ground for 20 years of his life. David played for West Ham youth team, and we just want to be here. It's where we've always wanted to be. There's no other club in the country we prefer to be at. So for us, we've come home, and that's what it's all about. And I'm sure, David, what do you think, Dave?
Yeah, I think that's what we've done. I received a call from David last night at 12 o'clock. I was just dozing off, and I didn't get to sleep till 3 o'clock. And then I was up at 6, so, you know, that gives you, it almost takes me all the way back to when I was playing here as a young boy. I remember playing for West Ham boys when I was 15, and we were playing East Ham at the bowling ground. And I remember going to bed at 10 o'clock thinking I'd get a nice, good night's sleep. Didn't get to sleep till 3 o'clock. And again, woke up at 6 o'clock. So it took me all the way back to that time. No, this is a very exciting experience for Dave and I. We've dreamt of this for many years. And, you know, you just never felt that it would ever happen. You know, when we missed that opportunity 22 years ago, we thought that the opportunity had gone forever. But it's amazing, and here we are today.
On the issue of the ownership itself, can you just clarify who owns the club?
We own 50% of the club. It's myself and David. I have an option to buy another 50% of the club, but I would share that with David, or in reality I would like 4 or 5 West Ham supporters with plenty of money to come in and take that option off me, and so we become a consortium of supporters owning the club, because the debts here are so large, most English people can't carry those debts, and we'd like to spread that across as many supporters as we can to then take the club forward to the next level. So we all chip in to spend money to improve the team. So at this moment in time, just to clarify things, we own 50%, but we have the contract is we have operational and strategic control over the club. Stroma, the Icelandic bank, or the bust Icelandic bank, own the other 50%. But I have an option at any time in the next 4 years to buy that other 50%, which myself and David may buy, or our preferred option is that we find other people who might want to buy 10% or 5%, and we have a consortium of people. We will go to Tony Fernandez, who is one of the bidders for the club, and hope that he wants to buy some of the club and come in with us, because this is, if you imagine a government of national unity in crisis, this is the board equivalent of a government of national unity, and we want as many people, strong people who are genuine supporters of the club, to get involved with the board and to dig the club out the mess it's in.
How long is that option to buy?
4 years.
So who makes the decisions?
We do, because we have strategic and operational control.
So in terms of money to Gianfranco Zola for transfers,
yep,
you're the one that makes the decision?
Yep. Subject to the money being there, or subject to us putting more money in. I mean, but we make the decisions. If it's above a certain level, I have to have approval of the bank, but they're pretty high levels. But they don't want, they're fearful that I could be like Mr. Egbertson and go potty and decimate the club, which I'm not going to do, you know. And we're still, unfortunately, inheriting lots of the problems that are left over from several years ago. And this is no criticism of Stroma and the people who run the club for the last 6 or 9 months. They've kept the club alive by hook or by crook, and they've done nothing wrong. It's the previous regime that's run up enormous debts and taken on wages and liabilities that a club of this size just can't support.
So have you injected new money, and what's, how much, and what's happened to the club's debt?
That is all strictly private and confidential. We've paid down some of the debt and we've injected new money as working capital. But there's still £100 million of debt here.
Still?
Still. And in just very, very simplistic terms, there's 50 million owed to banks. There's £40 million owed to other clubs. And just to clarify that, normally when a club, and I think it's important we tell the supporters exactly the position. With most clubs, you're owed money, you owe money and you're owed money. Here, West Ham owe £40 million to other clubs. That includes Sheffield United, but we cannot. It is a confidential settlement with Sheffield United. We can't say what percentage of that 40 million is Sheffield United. But 40 million is owed to other football clubs. West Ham are not owed a single penny by other clubs, because when they've sold players, they've discounted the debt with banks. So if, say, for example, Mr. Bellamy was sold for £12 million or £15 million, they've got £3.5 million down, they were owed £10.5 million. That £10.5 million has been sold for £9 million to some finance company. So there's not a penny to come in. In addition, West Ham have borrowed against the next 2 years' season ticket money. They've taken 70% of next year's season ticket money, 60% of the season ticket money afterwards. So those three figures alone come to £102 million. In addition, there's the Alan Kirbishley settlement, and there's various other bits and pieces. So the real debt's about £110 million.
It's extraordinary. As you outline there, you back in what is a financial madhouse. I mean, how difficult is it to run a club in the Premier League sensibly and avoid, as has been put this morning, paying crazy wages on top of it?
Well, if we were starting from scratch, it's very easy. We know how to do it. We've got 16 years' experience. But unfortunately, we're inheriting these liabilities, and we're going to have to work through them. We're going to have to do some wheeling and dealing, which we're very good at. We're going to have to find new money, raise new money. And I would say now it's a major part of our strategy that West Ham moved to the Olympic Stadium, which is 3 miles from this ground in the borough of Newham. We're in the borough of Newham. And if we could have a huge ground, we could take football back to the people. We could reduce admission prices to prices that people can afford, because we'd have the capacity to do it. And we could have the cheapest Premier League prices in the country, and that is all part of our strategy.
How likely is it that you'll make that move to the Olympic Stadium?
I would say at this moment in time you'd have to speak to other people, but if it's not better than 50-50, I'd be very surprised. And to me, I cannot comprehend how a government can build a ground and then reduce it to 25,000 for rugby, which will be empty, which will probably get 5,000 gates. In a credit crunch world, how can you spend a huge amount of money to build a stadium to then smash it down? It makes no sense. And there is the precedent that Manchester City got the Commonwealth Games Stadium, so why shouldn't West Ham in the borough of Newham get the Olympic Stadium, which is in the borough of Newham? So the logic says we should get it, but whether we will is another thing.
And at the moment, presumably, you're in negotiations on that, and can you tell me who you're in negotiations with?
We've been here 2 hours. I was in negotiations at midnight to buy West Ham. I mean, all this we will immediately start talking to the council, who I'm told are extremely supportive. They've already been on to offer their support. And we'll be meeting all the relevant bodies in the next few weeks.
Yeah. David, can you sum up generally for me what you think of the financial situation of the Premier League as a whole? You're walking back into that house. Tell me how they keep their finances.
It's crazy that whatever they get off television, that and more goes to the players and the agents. And there's a complete imbalance at most Premier League clubs. And somehow one has got to curtail the wages.
And I think you're on record in the last week or so saying that one top club could go. What do you mean by go?
I think if a club doesn't go into administration before the end of the season, I'll be very surprised. And it's possible...
In the Premier League?
In the Premier League. And I think it's possible that that club, which will remain nameless, and it's not this club, I would say that, that club, the football debts may exceed the value of the club, which then would put the club out of business altogether.
And that is a top club in the Premier League?
It is a Premier League club. That's all I can say. And I think it's wrong. We're here to talk about West Ham, not other clubs.
Has this club been close to going into administration?
You don't